بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد. Respected brothers and sisters, all praise belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah Azza wa Jal has given us another day in our life, and each day it's a gift of the Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and each day makes us either closer to our destination of Jannah, or it makes us closer to the unpleasant place of hellfire. So every single day when a person, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, gives him the start of this day, we should always supplicate to Allah Azza wa Jal that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we ask you of the goods of this day and we ask you for protection from the evil. Allahumma inni as'aluka khayra hadha al-yawm. This is the dua of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, that, oh Allah, I ask and I beg of you the best of this day. And I ask you protection against from the evils of this day. So we ask Allah Azza wa Jal to provide us and give us all the khair that is to be descend on this day and protect us from all types of evil. Ameen ya Rabbal Alameen. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made every individual as his ambassador on earth. Inni ja'ilun fil ardi khalifa, as Allah Azza wa Jal describes in the Quran. That every person, every believer, every individual who believes in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he believes that he has to meet Allah Azza wa Jal on the Day of Judgment, he has been considered or given the task of being an ambassador of Allah Azza wa Jal on the earth. Now this task, it requires many things to be done in certain way, so that whatever responsibility that is being given by Allah Azza wa Jal, those responsibilities are being fulfilled. And that has to do with, as we mentioned yesterday, that Islam is not just about one portion. It's ibadat is 1/5 of the religion. And the other portions of the religion is also as important as we consider ibadat. So if a person, he is very punctual in making sure that his salah is performed properly and he is dedicated to his salah, similarly the dedication in the other avenues of Islam are also equally important. This is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he is going to judge every individual in the entire religion. And the order of Allah Azza wa Jal is udkhulu fi silmi kaffa, that, O believers, enter into the religion fully. Because when we are doing partial practices, what happens is a lot of times we only adhere to those things which are easy to do for our nafs. Very easy. You know, for example, pray 2 rak'ah salah is easier than going and asking forgiveness to someone who you have done wrong to. Why? Because over there ego gets hurt. Over there a person has to put himself down. A lot of other strength are required. Of course, for salah there is a strength required, but not as great as the strength that is needed to go and seek forgiveness from someone. It requires a greater effort. And every portion of Islam, from the 5 categories that we mentioned, imaniyat, ibadat, ma'amalat, akhlaq, and ma'asharat, all of these 5 categories, each of the categories, when they're fulfilled, it gives a strength to the next category. So if you are very weak in your imaniyat, in the belief of Allah and your dependency on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then automatically you will fall short in ibadat. Why? Because your belief system with Allah is not good. You don't believe that the promises that Allah Azza wa Jal has made for those people who are punctual in their ibadat, those are accurate. This is why you fall behind in ibadah. So if your belief system becomes weak, your ibadat, they have an effect. And then it moves on to other avenues also. Your ibadat are weak. A person whose salah is weak, his dealings will also be weak. If a person's salah is not up to the standard, then the dealings with individuals will also be not up to the standard. And this is what happens when your salah is weak, that your salah actually does not stop you from immorality. As Allah mentions in the salata tanha anil fahsha'i wal munkar, that salah is that component of a believer's ibadah that stops him from doing something that is wrong and that is disobedient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But that component becomes weak, a person doesn't have any strength to stay away from wrong or harming other people or being rude to other individuals. Why? Because the first component is weak. So imaniyat are weak, it has an effect in salah. Salah becomes weak, it has an effect. So what happens? Everything when it's going weak, then the entire religion, it's very weak. And what happens to a weak religion? It is not able to stay firm at the time of conditions and trials. When fitan comes in, when a person has been tested by any of the commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then he's not firm enough to continue with it. So Allah Azza wa Jal has created this system from imaniyat all the way to akhlaq, which means that every component of this religion is as important as the first component. And when we give that importance to the religion, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will start to make that change into our life, and then we will see that change in the society. The Sahaba, when they accepted Islam, their iman was very strong to an extent that they were able to forego anything of their own just to preserve their faith. When they accepted Islam in the presence of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, their iman became very, very strong. That, every Sahabi, every person, as soon as they accepted faith, even though the directions of the Prophet ﷺ was to conceal their faith at this time due to the difficulties that the Muslims were receiving from the people of Mecca. But these Sahaba, they were so strong that they were not able to contain themselves, and they would go and expose their faith, and then they will have to go through. And these difficulties will only make them stronger. Each time when Bilal ibn Rabah radiallahu anhu said ahad, being tortured, each time that torturing made them stronger in their faith. وَازْدَادَتْ إِيمَانُهُمْ, as Allah Azza wa Jal says, their iman increased. So we have to work on that portion of our faith, that during the time of difficulties, conditions, problems, situations, how much of our faith is being tested and how much we are firm on the promises of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We ask Allah Azza wa Jal to grant us the true understanding. This is why this is a very important dua that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam has taught us. Allahumma habib ilayna al-iman. Oh Allah, make iman the most beloved thing in my life. The most beloved thing that I love the most in my life is my iman. وَزَيِّنْهُ فِي قُلُوبِنَا, and decorate it in my heart. Because when something, you have the glamour of it in your heart, you're already inclined towards this. And then, oh Allah, protect me from disobedience, from doing things that are wrong, and from leaving the faith, and making me amongst those who are guided on the right path. Amin ya Rabbal Alameen. Jazakum Allahu khairan. Subhanallah wa bihamdihi. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik. Wa nashhadu an la